Third Sunday of Lent. Jesus' power over sin and evil. See Jesus exercising all the majesty of his power over the evil spirit and expelling it perhaps by a word, a touch, a gesture, a glance, or a mere effort of his will, but without any ostentation. The mute represents to us a soul who is in mortal sin. It is in the possession of the devil, who wants nothing more than the death of souls, and that for eternity. Mortal sin is a sad reality for a baptized soul, but it is a great tragedy to remain in it. Imagine a liberated slave willingly surrender his freedom in order to continue serving a cruel and abusive tyrant. Such is the soul who remains in the state of mortal sin. Like the mute, such a sinner prefers to remain in silence about his serious sins and thus delays confession indefinitely. One finds a great freedom in daring to name our sins. I accuse myself of having committed such and such sin. The priest is always a mute when it comes to our sins, to the sins heard in the confessional, no matter how shameful they may be. In addition to being a mute, Saint Matthew reveals that he is also blind. A soul in the devil's possession is blind to God's goodness, to the beauty of virtue, to the ugliness of sin, as well as to the terrible consequences of being in the state of mortal sin. This blindness deepens to the point of being utterly shut out from the influence of God's grace, and even to final impenitence. There is never an excuse to continue living in spiritual death. A sincere request for confession is truly a joy to every priest because it is a beautiful act of humility. The devil muffles the soul to prevent it from praying. Prayer has become distasteful and wearisome, and the longer it remains in mortal sin, the more will it forget prayer. The devil stifles the soul to prevent it from asking for advice on spiritual matters. It takes its own way without asking whether it be the right way or not, and indeed without caring. The devil smothers the soul to prevent it from properly confessing his sins. To receive a valid absolution, the Church requires sacramental integrity in confession. All mortal sins are properly confessed when their number and species, together with the circumstances that change the species of the sins, are exactly indicated. Remember that the devil wants to prolong this state as long as possible, even till death. Sadness and contrition of our sins are a grace from God to go to confession. All other forms of gloom and discouragement can only come from the evil one. O my God, preserve me from falling into mortal sin, or if I should unhappily fall, give me grace to promptly rise again. Jesus, aid me by thy grace.